Tom tried not to stare as he stepped off the transport shuttle. The Galactic University's main hall stretched before him, filled with creatures from 100 worlds. Some floated in bubbling tanks, others slithered across the polished floor, and many walked on various numbers of legs. As the first human exchange student ever accepted to the prestigious institution, he felt both proud and terribly alone. "You must be the Earth specimen," a voice chirped from behind. Tom turned to see a four-armed blue-skinned alien with large, blinking eyes studying him. The alien wore what looked like a university staff uniform with numerous badges. "I'm Tom," he said, extending his hand before realizing the gesture might not translate. "The human student from Earth." "Fascinating," the alien said, not taking Tom's hand. "I am Administrator Plex. I expected you to be larger. Your species data suggested more impressive physical dimensions." Tom let his hand drop. "Sorry to disappoint." "No matter. Your quarters have been prepared with modified conditions to simulate your home environment. We've installed specialized atmospheric scrubbers, increased the temperature, and added radiation shielding for your comfort." Tom frowned. Earth wasn't particularly hostile, but he didn't correct the alien. The university had clearly gone to great expense to accommodate him. Administrator Plex led Tom through sprawling corridors where students of all shapes and sizes moved between classes. Many stopped to stare at the human, some making quick gestures that Tom suspected weren't compliments. "Your roommate is Krill, from Graviton Prime. He volunteered to share space with you, though we've partitioned the room for your safety. His atmosphere would be problematic for your biology." They stopped before a door marked with symbols Tom couldn't read, alongside a human-readable Earth Quarantine sign that made him wince. Inside, the room was split down the middle. One half looked like something from a sci-fi nightmare, dense, swirling gases under high pressure with strange metal structures. The other half resembled a basic dorm room, though with reinforced walls and what appeared to be hazard warnings. A large, muscular alien with 4 arms and metallic skin emerged from the gaseous side. It wore what might be a breathing apparatus connecting to its chest. "This is the human?" Krill's voice sounded like gravel in a blender. "It looks so fragile." Tom tried to stand taller. "I'm stronger than I look." "Of course you are," Krill said with what sounded like pity. "I requested a roommate from a low-gravity world. I find your kind's adaptations interesting." Tom's orientation continued with Administrator Plex showing him modified facilities for eating, hygiene, and study. Everything was labeled with warnings, the water fountains marked, "Caution, contains hydrogen," the regular air designated as potentially toxic to non-oxygen breathers. During a tour of the Physical Education Center, Tom accidentally bumped into a weight rack. One of the training devices, labeled for use by beings from low-gravity worlds, crashed to the floor. Tom instinctively caught it before it hit, not realizing it was supposed to be too heavy for him. The room fell silent. "Sorry," Tom said, carefully setting the weight down. "I wasn't watching where I was going." Several students backed away from him. One small floating creature actually disappeared in a puff of defensive smoke. "Perhaps," Administrator Plex said carefully, "we should reassess your physical parameters." Later that day, Tom met Professor Lox, his xenobiology teacher. The professor resembled an upright lizard with feathers and 7 fingers on each hand. "The first human at our university," Professor Lox exclaimed, circling Tom with unrestrained curiosity. "Your species has been so reclusive, sending only automated responses to our invitations for centuries. What changed?" "We wanted to learn," Tom said simply. "Earth decided it was time to join the galactic community." "Wonderful. I hope you'll allow me to conduct some non-invasive studies. Nothing uncomfortable, just baseline readings for our database." As Tom left the professor's office, he overheard 2 students talking nearby. "The humans from that backwater planet, right? The one with all the water? Yes, completely unremarkable. No significant gravity, radiation, or atmospheric pressures. It's amazing they developed intelligence without any environmental challenges. Tom smiled to himself. If they only knew the truth about Earth, the hurricanes, the earthquakes, the predators, the diseases, the extremes of temperature from Arctic blizzards to desert heat. Perhaps it was better they didn't know yet. The last thing he wanted was to cause a panic during his first week. He decided to keep quiet about Earth's true nature, at least until they got to know him better. After all, who would be afraid of a human? 2 weeks into the semester, Tom found himself enjoying the reduced gravity of the university. While designed to accommodate species from various worlds, the standard gravity was about 70% of Earth's. Tom could jump higher, run faster, and lift more than he ever could back home. During physical training class, the instructor, a tall, insect-like being named Coach Grip, had organized students into groups based on their home world classifications. Group 1, High-Gravity Worlds, Coach Grip called out. Tom watched as Krill and several other bulky aliens moved to one corner. Group 5, Low-Gravity and Fragile Constitution Species, the coach continued, pointing to where Tom should go. Tom hesitated. Actually, I think I might be in the wrong group. Coach Grip consulted his tablet. Earth, yes, here it is. Standard gravity 1 g, atmospheric pressure 1 bar. Definitely group 5. Could I try group 3? Tom asked. The mid-range? The coach clicked his mandibles in what might have been amusement. Very ambitious, human. Very well, but be careful. I don't want to explain to the medical wing why you broke your delicate bones. The obstacle course for Group 3 involved climbing a 30-foot wall, swinging across a gap, and carrying weighted bags across a finish line. Tom completed it in record time, barely breaking a sweat. The entire class fell silent. That was unexpected, Coach Grip said, checking his timer. Perhaps Earth gravity was miscalculated in our database. A floating, translucent jellyfish-like being drifted over to Tom after class. Its body pulsed with gentle blue light. That was impressive, it said in a melodic voice. I'm Blue. Your name is Blue? Tom asked. It's a translation approximation. My actual name involves wavelengths your eyes can't perceive. The creature pulsed with what might have been laughter. You're the first human I've met. And you're the first. Tom paused, unsure what species Blue was. Luminari, Blue provided. We come from a gas giant's upper atmosphere. I'm in the xenoanthropology program. Over the next few days, Blue became Tom's first friend at the university. They ate together in the cafeteria, where Tom's eating habits created quite a stir. You consume solid plant and animal matter? Blue asked, watching Tom bite into a synthesized apple the kitchen had prepared. And you chew it? With bones in your mouth? They're called teeth, Tom said, grinning to show his. Fascinating. And terrifying. Blue's light dimmed slightly. Most species here consume nutrient solutions or absorb energy directly. Tom shrugged. Humans are omnivores. We can eat almost anything. This fact was tested the next day when a chemical spill in the biology lab sent 3 students to the medical wing. Tom had been exposed to the same substance, a preservative for tissue samples, but showed no ill effects. Remarkable resistance, the medical officer noted, scanning Tom's skin where the chemical had splashed. Any pain? Just a slight itch, Tom admitted. By the next morning, even the redness had faded. Word spread quickly about the human's unusual resilience. Students began watching Tom more closely, noting his peculiar habits. He consumes dihydrogen monoxide daily. I saw him eat a capsaicin fruit that would burn through Drellian skin. He injured his appendage yesterday, and it's already healing without medical intervention. Administrator Plex called Tom to his office, looking concerned. There are questions being raised about your species' biology that our database cannot answer. The University Council is wondering if we performed adequate research before accepting an Earth student. Tom shifted uncomfortably. I'm just a normal human. That's precisely what worries us, Plex replied. Later that evening, Tom started recording a video log in his room. Day 18 at Galactic U. The aliens still don't understand humans. Today, Blue was shocked that I sleep lying down, completely unconscious, for 8 hours. Apparently, most species here never fully lose consciousness. They think I'm recklessly vulnerable when I sleep. The next day, the university organized a field trip to a nearby moon to study its simple ecosystem. As the students hiked along a ridge, an unexpected tremor shook the ground. A rockslide began directly above several students from aquatic worlds, their environmental suits making them too slow to escape. Without thinking, Tom rushed forward, pushing 2 students clear and pulling another out of the path of a boulder that would have crushed them. The strength and speed he displayed left everyone staring in shock. Professor Locks, who had accompanied the expedition, watched Tom with new interest in his 7-fingered hands. He tapped notes into his device. "Tell me, Tom," he said later as they returned to the shuttle, "what else about humans haven't you told us?" "Today we begin our comparative ecology presentations," Professor Locks announced to the xenobiology class. "Each of you will share the key environmental features of your homeworld and how they shaped your species' evolution." Tom shifted nervously in his seat. He had debated how honest to be about Earth. After a month at Galactic University, he'd realized that even the university's database contained only the most basic information about his planet, much of it misleading or incomplete. Several students presented before him. A gaseous being described a world of constant storms where life evolved to ride wind currents. A crystalline entity explained how slow-moving silicon-based life adapted to extreme pressure. Each presentation reinforced to Tom how different Earth truly was. Next, our human student with information about Earth, Professor Locks called. Tom activated his presentation, displaying images of Earth that made several students murmur in surprise. Earth is what humans call a blue planet, due to its oceans covering 71% of the surface, Tom began. Our atmosphere is primarily nitrogen and oxygen, with trace gases including water vapor. So far, nothing unusual. But then Tom continued. Earth's climate ranges from regions that reach -50 degrees Celsius to others that exceed +50 degrees Celsius. Many regions experienced seasonal changes with dramatic temperature variations. A student with translucent skin raised a tentacle. "You mean different parts of your planet have different temperatures? Not a stable climate?" "Correct," Tom confirmed. Furthermore, Earth experiences what we call weather, dynamic atmospheric conditions including hurricanes with winds exceeding 300 km per hour, tornadoes that can destroy entire communities, and lightning strikes containing billions of volts of electricity. The classroom grew quieter with each detail. Our world receives constant radiation from our sun. We've evolved melanin in our skin as protection. Earth's magnetic field shields us from the worst effects, but without it, cosmic radiation would sterilize the surface. "Impossible," muttered a student. "No species could evolve in such conditions." Tom displayed images of Earth's diverse lifeforms. Earth contains millions of species, including microorganisms that would be deadly plagues on other worlds. Humans evolved alongside predators that could hunt and kill us. Our planet contains thousands of poisonous plants and venomous animals that can cause death within minutes. The room erupted in disbelief. "This is clearly an attempt at humor," said a multi-eyed student. "Or exaggeration to impress us." Professor Locks raised his 7-fingered hand for silence while activating a fact-checking protocol on his device. After a moment, his scales paled visibly. The atmospheric composition, temperature ranges, and radiation levels, they all verify as accurate, he said slowly. As do the images of these predators. He displayed a simple Earth lion on the main screen. Several students recoiled. And humans evolved alongside these creatures? Lox asked Tom. We did. In fact, for most of our history, we were prey before becoming predators ourselves. The silence in the room turned to panic as the implication sank in. Earth isn't just a planet, the professor whispered. It's a death world. Please remain calm, Administrator Plex announced over the university's emergency system. The human student has been temporarily relocated to a secure containment facility for everyone's safety. Tom sat on a simple bed in what was essentially a reinforced glass box in the university's medical wing. Guards stood outside, their nervous glances making it clear they'd rather be anywhere else. This is ridiculous, Tom muttered, watching as a group of officials in protective gear huddled nearby, occasionally pointing at him. I'm the same person I was yesterday. But he wasn't, not to them. Overnight, he had transformed from an unremarkable exchange student to a terrifying biological anomaly. A creature from a planet that, by galactic standards, should be impossible to inhabit. Professor Lox approached the containment field, looking both frightened and fascinated. The Galactic Council has been notified about Earth's unique status. They're sending investigators to your planet immediately. They'll find it's exactly as I described, Tom said. That's what concerns us, Lox replied. If true, your species has evolved through environmental pressures that would kill most sentient life. Your baseline biology would be considered weaponized by Council standards. Outside Tom's containment area, students gathered to catch glimpses of the Deathworld monster. Security footage from his time at the university had leaked and gone viral across campus. Tom exercising by lifting weights designed for high-gravity species. Tom casually eating foods containing compounds lethal to most aliens. Tom sleeping through a low-level radiation leak that sent other students to medical. He doesn't even look dangerous, whispered one student. That's what makes them perfect infiltrators, another responded. They can survive conditions that would kill us while appearing harmless. Blue and Krill approached the containment field, ignoring the warnings from security. This is absurd, Blue's translucent body pulsed with agitation. Tom has lived among us for weeks. He's had countless opportunities to harm anyone if that was his intention. Krill nodded his massive head. The human shows no predatory behavior toward sapient species. His reflexes during the rockslide were protective, not aggressive. Professor Lox considered this. Perhaps we're overreacting. But the Council insists on caution until we understand the full implications. Later that day, Tom received a message that the Council had arrived at Earth and made initial contact with human authorities. The news wasn't helping his situation. They found everything you described, Lox said, his scales shifting colors with excitement and fear. Predators even larger than the images you showed. Extreme weather. Diseases that would qualify as biological weapons by galactic law. It's just home to us, Tom said simply. The Council has requested a demonstration, Lox announced after conferring with officials. They want to see what a human is truly capable of under controlled conditions. Tom looked up. They want me to perform? Like some circus animal? No, Lox corrected. They want to understand what it means to be human. And whether the galaxy should fear you. The university's largest laboratory had been converted into an observation arena. Tiered seating surrounded a central area where various testing stations had been set up. Representatives from dozens of worlds filled the seats, their murmurs creating an anxious hum. Tom stood in a simple jumpsuit, feeling like a specimen under a microscope. Professor Lox approached with a delegation of official-looking aliens bearing Council insignia. Tom, "This is High Observer Drell of the Galactic Council," Locke said. "The demonstration will proceed under his supervision." The High Observer, a tall being with reflective skin and compound eyes, studied Tom. "We seek only to understand, human. Are you prepared to demonstrate your species' capabilities?" Tom nodded. "Let's get this over with." The first test focused on endurance. Tom ran on a treadmill as the gravity and resistance gradually increased. After an hour, he was sweating but still moving steadily. "Remarkable," a medical officer noted. "His body efficiently regulates temperature through liquid excretion, and his cardiovascular system shows minimal strain." "Humans evolved as persistence hunters," Tom explained between breaths. "We can literally run prey to exhaustion. Some humans on Earth run distances of over 100 kilometers for sport." Several officials exchanged alarmed glances. Next came temperature tolerance. Tom placed his hand in water that would scald most species, then in ice that would cause instant frostbite in others. He barely flinched. "Our planet's temperature variations forced us to adapt," he explained. "Humans have settled regions from Arctic to desert." A small cut was made on Tom's arm under medical supervision. The audience watched in fascination as blood clotted quickly and the healing process visibly began. "Human blood contains platelets that immediately begin repair," the medical officer announced. "Their bodies are constantly fighting microscopic invaders we would consider plagues." Tom was presented with various food samples, many toxic to other species. He consumed them without ill effect. "Omnivores," he explained. "We evolved to eat almost anything edible. Our livers detoxify poisons that would kill most of you." The final test involved problem-solving under stress. Tom was placed in a chamber where the oxygen was gradually reduced while he worked to solve complex puzzles. "Humans," Tom explained as he worked, "evolved in an environment where thinking clearly during danger meant survival. Our brains remain functional even when our bodies are in distress." When the tests concluded, the High Observer approached Tom. "You have given us much to consider," he said. "One question remains: if humans evolved in such harsh conditions, developed such resilience, and possess such capabilities, why has your species not expanded across the galaxy as conquerors?" Tom smiled. "Because the same harsh world that made us tough also taught us something more important." "And what is that?" the observer asked. "That survival isn't about being the strongest individual," Tom said. "It's about working together. Earth's harshness didn't just make us resilient, it made us cooperative." For the first time since the revelation, the fear in the room was mixed with something new: respect. 3 days after Tom's demonstration, the Galactic Council's expedition team returned from Earth. Their arrival caused immediate commotion as they requested an emergency session with university officials and council representatives. Tom was permitted to attend but was seated separately, still under guard. Blue and Krill had been allowed to join as character witnesses for their human friend. High Observer Drell called the session to order. The expedition team will now present their findings regarding planet Earth. The lead investigator, a multi-limbed being with specialized sensory organs, activated a holographic display. "What we discovered confirms the human student's claims, but the reality is more extreme than anticipated." The display showed footage of Earth's natural disasters: hurricanes with swirling clouds visible from space, volcanoes spewing molten rock, massive forest fires, and flash floods tearing through landscapes. "These events occur regularly across the planet," the investigator explained. "Not isolated incidents, but constant environmental threats." The audience murmured in disbelief. Earth's wildlife includes apex predators that would be classified as extreme dangers on any council world. The display shifted to show lions hunting, sharks feeding, and bears fishing. But most concerning is this. The display changed to microscopic imagery. Earth's microbial life. The planet is saturated with bacteria and viruses that continuously evolve and adapt. Humans live in a constant state of biological warfare with their own environment. Professor Locke stood. Given these findings, how would you classify Earth? By all standard metrics, the investigator replied, Earth qualifies as a Class 10 death world. The fact that intelligent life evolved there at all defies our understanding of xenobiology. The council members conferred quietly before High Observer Drell addressed the assembly. The question before us is clear: how should the galactic community proceed regarding humans? Their biology effectively qualifies them as living weapons by our standards. An official with luminous tendrils rose. We should classify humans as a dangerous species, requiring special containment protocols for any contact. That's absurd, Blue countered, body pulsing indignantly. Tom has lived among us for weeks without incident. Judge him by his actions, not his origins. Krill's metallic voice cut through the debate. I have shared living quarters with the human. Despite his capabilities, he has shown remarkable restraint and consideration. To everyone's surprise, Krill activated a personal recording device. I have documented numerous instances where the human could have asserted dominance but chose cooperation instead. The recording showed Tom helping smaller species reach high shelves, assisting others with heavy lifting, and carefully modifying his strength when interacting with fragile beings. Professor Locke approached the central platform. While Earth is indeed a death world, we must consider an unexpected outcome of such an environment. The constant threats appear to have fostered not aggression, but community bonds. A team of alien anthropologists presented their findings next. Human culture shows remarkable emphasis on mutual aid and group survival. Their art and literature consistently value self-sacrifice for community welfare, a direct adaptation to their harsh environment. As the session continued, Tom noticed the tone shifting. Fear remained, but it was increasingly tempered with curiosity and even admiration. The High Observer announced, the Council will deliberate on Earth's classification. Until then, the human student will remain under observation, but with reduced restrictions. It wasn't freedom, but it was progress. 2 weeks after the Council's deliberations began, Tom found himself in the university's Grand Assembly Hall. The room was packed with students, faculty, and council representatives. No longer contained behind barriers, Tom sat between Blue and Krill in the front row. High Observer Drell took the central platform, his reflective skin catching the light. After thorough consideration, the Galactic Council has reached its decision regarding Earth and humanity. The room fell silent. Earth is officially classified as a Class 10 death world, Drell announced. However, contrary to standard protocol for such worlds, we will not be imposing isolation or containment measures on humanity. Murmurs of surprise rippled through the audience. Our investigation revealed something unexpected, Drell continued. The harshness of Earth didn't create conquerors, it created survivors. And survivors, we have learned, understand the value of cooperation better than anyone. Tom felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. Earth student Tom will serve as humanity's first official representative to the galactic community. Additionally, we are establishing a special Earth Studies program at the university for those brave enough to learn about this remarkable world. Professor Locke stepped forward, scales gleaming with excitement. I will head this program, with Tom as our primary consultant. We believe there is much the galaxy can learn from Deathworlders. In the days that followed, Tom found himself busier than ever. Students from across the university signed up for his special lecture series, Understanding Earth, a Deathworlder's Perspective. Humans value what we call resilience, Tom explained to a packed auditorium. We celebrate those who endure hardship and emerge stronger. But we also recognize that our greatest achievements came through working together. Several alien species began training programs with Tom, learning techniques to survive harsher environments than their homeworlds. Others proposed joint ventures to colonize worlds previously considered too dangerous for settlement. With human partners, a council scientist noted, we could expand to planets we've avoided for millennia. As the semester ended, Tom prepared to return to Earth for a brief visit. To his surprise, several of his alien friends requested to accompany him. "You want to visit Earth?" Tom asked Blue, astonished. "Knowing what you know now?" Blue's body pulsed with excitement. "Precisely because of what I know now. Your Deathworld produced you, I want to understand how." Krill nodded in agreement. "With proper precautions and you as our guide, we believe the experience will be enlightening." On his last day before departure, Tom received a message from the Galactic Council. Earth had been formally invited to join the galactic community, with special provisions acknowledging humans' unique capabilities. "It seems," Professor Lox said as they prepared the shuttle, "that the galaxy needed Deathworlders more than we realized." Tom smiled. "We were never meant to be feared. We just needed to be understood." As the shuttle prepared for launch, Tom looked at his alien friends with pride. What had begun with misconceptions and fear had transformed into something remarkable, a bridge between worlds that could never have existed if not for one student from a Deathworld called Earth.